Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome to this course. And this course is a bit extensive, as I already mentioned. We have divided it into three parts. They wanted me to complete it in 2 days, but I thought that it is not fair, especially for youngsters, because nowadays, after your exams, you are taking rest, and suddenly you have this extensive course. For this, you have to sit like 4 or 5 hours. It is going to be very challenging. So I decided that why not to divide it into three portions. So today I will try to cover some of the theoretical parts, introductions. If we will have time, we will do, let's see, 2 or 3 legal cases. We will do their analysis. If not, then we will postpone it on tomorrow. It depends how long you can sit with me, how much you engage, how much interaction we have, because I can give a very long lecture, and those of you who have studied from me, they know that I like to speak a lot, and I can speak for 5 6 hours. But this is not about me speaking all the time. I also want some feedback from you. So once again, I strongly suggest you to interact with me and ask me questions. So today we will discuss the very basic thing, that what is corporate governance? What is corporate governance? So any one of you who have any idea what is corporate governance? Anyone? Hello? No one?
I have a little idea about it.
Please.
I firstly thought that this is how government work. Before I searched it, I thought like how actually government operate.
Okay, so from the word governance, you thought that it is something about government, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. In our understanding, governance, for the sake of functionality, you can say that the function of government and the function of the people who are involved with corporate governance, it is quite same. Okay, so in businesses, or for the sake of corporate governance, government is also an important stakeholder, but corporate governance is different from the government. So what is corporate governance? This is something which we will try to explain. This is something which we will try to explore. So the simplest definition of corporate governance is that corporate governance is a system. It is a system, or very loosely, in very quasi terminologies, you can say that it is a process. So it is a system by which companies are directed and controlled. Companies are directed and controlled. So the corporate governance is about direction. Direction is related to the strategy and policy. You make strategy for the company, you make policy for the company, and you control the company. So what does it mean by controlling? Controlling means accountability and transparency. The people who are involved in corporate governance, they are responsible for accountability and transparency. Accountability of the people who are working in the company, and transparency related to everything. Transparency related to finances, transparency related to functionality, transparency related to their answerability towards other stakeholder. So it is about direction and control. So you can say corporate governance is a process. Corporate governance is a system by which companies are directed and controlled. Okay, this is the simplest definition. We will also look into some of the other definitions, but this is the basic and the simplest definition which you can uh, you know uh, memorize. And I think that it is not very difficult to memorize. Okay, the system by which companies are directed and controlled. Okay, so what is the aim and objective of this certificate course? Why we designed this? First of all, business law department at Tashkent State University of Law is responsible for everything related to business in Uzbekistan. So corporate governance is something which has been neglected not only by Uzbekistan but many of the Central Asian countries. So corporate governance is comparatively or relatively a new phenomena in this region. That's why we felt a need that why not to introduce it as a course. So we have experimented with this course by offering you a certificate, and you are some of the very first students of our department. I think that in the university as well, or maybe in Uzbekistan, you are the very first people who are studying this course in English language, and I hope that it is going to be beneficial for you and for your future. So the purpose of this module is to provide students with the critical understanding of current issues in corporate governance theory. So regulations and practices. We will see how the corporate governance has come into existence in its present shape. What are certain rules, regulations, codes there, and how the companies project these theoretical concepts into their practice. Okay, and uh, and we will, of course, we will look into the whole mechanism, how this thing works, and also we will try to see how to improve the functions of corporations, not only in terms of their production, but also in terms of how the stakeholders can be satisfied. Okay, so what is good corporate governance and what is bad corporate governance, how we can improve bad corporate governance, and how we can sustain good corporate governance. These are some of the things which we will see. And of course, parallel to this, we will be doing our legal work. As you know, as a lawyer and a law student, we love to do cases. So we will be looking into different cases, and we will do their analysis, some of the contemporary cases from different part of the world. And I will be not me only, but you will be doing the analysis, and we will be looking into some of the contemporary issues, especially in post-COVID era. So many things have changed with regard to the management, with regard to the corporate governance. So we will look into these things. Okay, so some of the topics which we will cover, it depends on how long we can sit together. It depends on how long you can bear with me. And my original intention is to cover all of these topics. So first of all, today we will discuss about the corporate governance, uh, some of the contemporary issues. If corporate governance goes wrong, what we should be expecting. It is related to the corporate crimes, corruptions, um, for example, white collar crimes, money laundering, etc., etc. So these things I will give you a little overview of this today, and then we will discuss about different theories of corporate governance. This part is a bit boring, because we as a law student, especially in Uzbekistan, don't like jurisprudence, but but it is very important part. Okay, so theories of corporate governance, this is something which I plan to cover today. And then we will look into the regulatory framework. Regulatory framework means different laws and regulations from different part of the world. I will also shed a light on Uzbek corporate governance law, where it is standing. Fortunately, institutions have realized the importance that Uzbekistan also need to work on their corporate governance structure, and certain legal mechanisms have been developed. So we will look into this. Case studies we will do, and construction of the board, what constitutes a board, who are the members of board of directors, different types of directors, you know, um, independent directors, outsiders, you say them, which the directors who do not work in the company, you bring them from outside. Okay, so in general, how we make the board. This is very important. And then we will look into the duties of directors, what they should be doing, what they usually do. Okay, so what are the good practices? And then we will look into different mechanisms of corporate governance. The members of board of directors, or the people who sit in the board, they are divided into different categories. I mean, with regard to their functions. So board make different committees. For example, audit committee. You can have external relation committee. You can have compensation committee, promotion committee. Yes, nomination committees. So these people, they sit in the board at the same time. They are divided into different committees and they do work for the board. Okay, so we will look into their activities. Then also governance in listed companies. Listed companies, you already know, those companies who are listed on stock exchange, public companies. The shareholders. Shareholders are the people who invest in the company. Why they are important? Why the members of board of directors should think about benefiting those people who have invested in the company. We will look into this. And then of course risks. There are so many risks. Business is about risk. Yes, so business is about risk. We will look into the management of these risks through the members of board of directors. International corporate governance. We will look into corporate governance in Germany, Japan, USA, UK, South Korea, Italy, France a little bit. Yes, in different countries they have different structures of boards. They have different mechanisms related to corporate governance. We will look into this. And corporate governance in emerging economies, China and Uzbekistan. China is a very good example of economic success. We know that it is an emerging economy. Like in last 20, 30 or 40 years, they have done a tremendous job. Okay, so similarly Uzbekistan, especially in the era of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev, with his philosophy and vision of 2030, or the new Uzbekistan philosophy, is calling for reforms. And we can also say that Uzbekistan is an emerging economy. In the those of you who are interested, you can go on internet and you can compare the statistical figures of Uzbekistan in different ranking and indexes, where it was standing and where it is standing today. So it is also an emerging economy. We will see corporate governance in China and Uzbekistan. Then we will look into corporate social responsibility. You know, corporate social responsibility is a full-fledged subject. Many universities are offering corporate social responsibility as a separate topic. So corporate social responsibility is a very important phenomena of 21st century, which means that companies should not be thinking about making profit only. Companies should not be thinking about making profits only. They should also be thinking about the society. So if you are making money, you should share this money or the benefit with the people of the society, ordinary member of the society. You should give back to the society. This is the idea behind corporate social responsibility. And then finally we will do the revision of the whole course, and then I will let you go by the end of the third day. Okay, so let's think about it. What is corporate governance and how it is different from management? There are two structures in a company. There is management. Management is CEO, yes, financial director, HR director, marketing manager. Yes, these people are the management of the company. Management of the company means they do day-to-day work of the company. Managers. And corporate governance. What is corporate governance? Corporate governance supervise this management. Okay, so corporate governance, these people are called as board or members of board of directors, and they, what is their, yes, you have a question? No question? Okay, so what is the function of corporate governance or the board? Board supervise the management works on day-to-day chores of the company. They come to the offices every day and they look into the smooth running of day-to-day functions of the company. Whereas corporate governance or the board, they supervise this management. Is it clear?
Uh, do you mean that all corporate governments lead to management?
No, I don't mean this. Corporate governance is separate from the management in the sense that managers they sit in the company. You can say in very simple words, managers come in the company, they do different jobs in the company. For example, financial manager, he sits in the company. CEO is a manager, he sits in the company. Yes. Marketing manager, he sit in the company. So these are the people who run day-to-day function of the company, whereas board or the corporate governance structure supervise their function. So they don't come to the company, they meet maybe once in a year or 2 times in a year, or maybe 3 times or 4 times in an year. Okay. Or when the company has to make a very big decision, for example, they want to buy property, or they want to sell an asset. So these are very important decisions which are taken by them. So management works under the board. Okay. So here in this slide, I have discussed about this thing, that what corporate governance is not. Okay. What corporate governance is not. It is very important to differentiate between corporate governance and corporate management. Okay. What you were talking about, you were talking about corporate management. Corporate governance and corporate management, they are different things. Although corporate governance is concerned with good management, it is not about management as such. Rather, corporate governance is about the control and direction of managers. Control and direction of managers. Let me show you this diagram. I think that this diagram will make things more clear. So we have shareholders. Who are the shareholders? Shareholders are the people who have invested in the company. Yes. These are the people who have invested their money in the company, shareholders. So shareholders, they appoint board of directors. Now these board of directors, it is our corporate governance structure. This board of director supervise the management and staff. This management and staff, they are the workers of the company. CEO is the management. Yes, HR manager is the management. These people, they come to the company every day. This is called as management and staff. Who supervise the management and staff? Board of directors. Okay. And board of directors are answerable to shareholders who have invested money in the company. Okay. So management is answerable to board of directors and board of directors are answerable to shareholders. Is it clear?
Yes.
Clear.
Okay. So as the course will proceed, we will have other opportunities to look into this. So it is very interesting phenomena. Usually we as a business people, or even the law students, we think that CEO or the chief executive officer, he is the top manager, and here the company ends. Okay. Usually we think like this, yes, that the top manager is CEO. But in reality, CEO is a very small person in our corporate governance structure, because CEO is answerable to the board. Okay, so board is a much bigger structure than the management. Okay, so we have the management which run the company, and management has a bigger structure who is supervising the management. It is the board. Okay. And even the board is answerable, or you can say supervised to some extent, by the shareholders. Okay. So CEO is not a big person for our understanding. Now a little bit about some of the philosophical or theoretical concepts attached to the beginning of the corporate governance structure, or in my understanding, how it all began. So what does it mean by making a strategy and policy for the company? I think that a very analogous, very close analogous situation can be this, which I am going to show you right now. This is Agora. So Agora, in those of you who have interest in history, you know about the Greek was divided into small city states. So these city states, they had these places which they call as Agora. So Agora is like a place where everyone comes and sit together and discuss about the very important matters related to their government. Okay, so they come out uh, and sit in Agora and discuss about the very important matters related to their country. Okay, so this is the concept of Agora. I think that the contemporary corporate governance structure is very much inspired by the Agora system, that company is working, company like a government is working, and whenever there is something very big, whenever there is something very challenging, yes, then this Agora gathers, then these people gather, the members of board of directors, they gather and they sit together and discuss and find solutions to this problem. Okay, for example, in Agora, they will sit together and they will discuss that can they attack on another country, or if another country or city state is attacking on them, so can they defend this? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is very important concept. So corporate governance, the contemporary corporate governance started in 1992 with the Cadbury report in UK. You can remember this word Cadbury. We have Cadbury chocolate. Do you know about this? So you can remember this word by this chocolate, Cadbury chocolate. So Cadbury chocolate, Cadbury report in UK in 1992, it elaborated the contemporary corporate governance issues, and you can say that it is the beginning of the model understanding of corporate governance. Okay. So Cadbury report was the result of several high profile company collapse. Several high profile company collapse means many companies, big companies, they faced challenges, and as a result of this, the government gave responsibility to this person, Cadbury, and he prepared his report, and then this report called for a structure which we today call as corporate governance structure. Okay, so we will look into this as well. Now, what was the rationale of early firms? Here is a case which is mentioned. The case is very interesting. It is called as South Sea Company bubble. If you will go on YouTube, you will type this South Sea Bubble Company. You will understand this case. I am not going to show it here. I will just give you a summary. Okay, so just follow me. I'm now going to give you the summary of this case. What happened? So in 1700s, Britishers were feeling a need for investment. Okay, so Britishers were doing constructions, they had no money, budget was disturbed, and they needed money. So they give task to a person whom they think that was very good financial manager. Okay, so this person, he formed a company, an investment company, which is called as South Sea Company. So apparently the South Sea Company, the function of South Sea Company was to buy slaves from Africa and send them to the Latin America. Okay, so this was one of the functions. And slave trading, buying and selling of humans for the sake of labor, it was a very profitable business. Okay, So what they did, they told everyone that we are involved in trade. It is very profitable business. So you can buy our shares. And people, they started buying the shares of this company, South Sea Company. So many people started buying the shares of this company. So when the people started buying the shares of the company, the share price went high, very high. Okay. So share price went very high, and the company was collecting money, but originally they were not doing any business. Why people were investing? Because this company was backed by the government. So people had a trust on the company, that this company is backed by the royal family itself. That's why we can invest in the company. So they started buying the shares, and at the end, what happened? The company collapsed. Okay, because they were just collecting money and they were not doing any business. Okay, and the shareholders, they suffer a huge loss. Okay, so this is the case. This is the case of South Sea Company. South Sea Company, we call it as a bubble. You know, bubble is a round shape thing. You enter into the bubble, and you can feel the walls of the bubble, but you cannot get out of the bubble. That's why we call it the bubble. It was a financial trap, you can say. People enter into this financial trap, and they couldn't get their money back, and they lost whatever they had. Okay, so this was the South Sea bubble company case. You will in your free time, if you have free time, just go and look into the details. The idea behind this is the idea behind this is that the shareholders who had invested money into the company, they had no communication with the management. So management was saying them that we are working on the company is making profit, and shareholders were satisfied. Okay, if managers are saying the company is doing very well, it's mean that it will be doing very well. Okay, there was no medium structure or intermediary structure who could communicate between the investors and the managers. Investors bought shares, investors invested in the company, managers were saying that we are working very hard, company is making profit, but actually it was not making profit, and the shareholders were unaware of this fact that company is not making any profit. Okay, so that's why we can say that the board is very important. The board is very important. uh, that board serve as a channel, an intermediary. Board communicate between investors and the management. Board is there to ensure to the shareholders that management is working very well. Okay, did you understand this South Sea bubble company?
Yes.
The idea is that the investors invested in the company, and management was saying that company is working very well, but company was not working very well, and finally company collapsed and people lost their money. Okay, so this is the rationale of early firms. So corporate governance is an innovation for law. Why I say this? So many things are innovations in our legal system. Law was there, company law was there, corporate law was there, and then suddenly people thought about, legal scientists thought about making laws and regulations with regard to corporate governance, which disturbed the whole legal system. It is like a stone you throw into the lake, there is a splash of water. Okay, so law had to respond to the corporate governance because it is an innovation. And with the passage of time, now we are developing new laws with regard to corporate governance, and we are trying to accommodate the demands of contemporary issues in corporate governance. Okay, some people say that these members of board of directors, or the board, or the corporate governance people, they are fat cats. So fat cat, what does it mean by fat cat? Fat cat means they take very high salaries, they take huge amount of money, but they don't do anything. Yes, many people think that investors have invested money. Managers are working in the company every day. What these members of board of directors doing? They are doing nothing. Many people think like this, that these members of board of directors, they are just taking high salaries like fat cats and they are doing nothing. Okay, it is not a contemporary understanding. Previously as well, if you look into the historic economic literature, you will find these sort of illustrations of these members of board of directors, that they don't do anything and they suck blood of the poor and innocent people. Yes, and some of the contemporary examples I can give you, that the people who take credits, you might have seen this picture circulating on social media, that the managers are like ordinary soldiers, laborers who work day and night in the company, or they fight for the sake of the country. And who takes the credits? Their generals, they take the credit, who apparently don't do anything. Okay, so this is some of the reservations of those people who think that members of board of directors are not doing anything. But members of board of directors, they are leaders, and people say that we need leaders. What do you think? Do we need leaders for the company? Members of board of directors, they are the leaders. Do you think that we need these leaders? Do we need leaders?
I think yes.
Lawyers should have answer to why as well. Lawyers, lawyers should
Okay.
say why.
Okay, I think because I think yes, because actually board of directors can show which way go for managers. I mean, which way they should operate, and even if they are not working in this company, they can revise which actually way is good for the company, for developing their for making more money. I mean,
Yeah. So I am agree with you. I also align what you said, that leaders are very important to give directions, to give directions to whomever they are leading. Okay, but the contemporary understanding is developing around this idea that instead of having leaders, we need team players. Okay, so instead of thinking about leaders, instead of thinking about someone who just give you directions and who just controls you, we need team players. Team players means those people who can come and stand with us and walk side by side, shoulder to shoulder, take responsibilities at the level of the manager, and can contribute physically in the development of their business. That is the reason, that you might have seen these big companies, for example, Amazon, Google, IBM, or you name it, any company, not only the tech giants, all the successful companies, you will see that their leaders, they work side by side as a team player with ordinary laborers in the company. Okay, you might have seen a very rich person who has a $1 billion industry, and he wears a t-shirt, and you will see him walking through walking between the ordinary laborers of his company. So this is the contemporary understanding which is developing around this idea, that okay, it is good that we have leaders, managers should be supervised by the board, but it will be very beneficial for the company if these members of board of directors or the leaders work side by side with ordinary member of their company and act as a team player. Okay, so now I am going to define the corporate governance. These are very important definitions from you can say bookish definitions. If you have an exam and if the question comes define corporate governance, you will write something like this. Okay, so first of all, there is not a single generally agreed definition of corporate governance. Okay, because corporate governance structure is highly influenced by the background. For example, Uzbek corporate governance structure is different from German corporate governance system. Chinese corporate governance is system from UK, different from UK's and USA's corporate governance structure. Okay, so who is responsible for corporate governance of the firms? This is very important. Who is responsible for corporate governance? Board of directors. Board of directors, or we call it board. Board is responsible for corporate governance. Who appoints the board? Who appoints the board? Firm shareholders appoint the board. And how they appoint the board? You know, shareholders have a general shareholder meeting. Shareholders, they meet once a year or twice a year. There is a meeting of shareholders. Shareholders comes and sit together, and then they decide the board, the construction of the board. So if someone asks you, okay, management is supervised by the board, who appoints the board? So what you will say? You will say shareholders appoint the board. And when they appoint the board, in a meeting, in a general shareholder meeting, in a general shareholder meetings, these shareholders come and sit together and decide the board. And the definition, the system by which companies are directed and controlled. This is what I told you earlier. What is corporate governance? Corporate governance is a system, mechanism or framework, you can say, by which companies are directed and controlled. Some more definitions, and I will just quickly go through, a couple of these. Corporate governance deals with the way in which suppliers of finance. So who are the suppliers of finance? The investors. Corporate governance deals with the ways in which suppliers of finance to the organization assure themselves of getting a return on their investment. So the idea is that when the investors invest in the company, they want to make sure that they should get their money back with some profit. Who makes sure for them? The members of board of directors. Members of board of directors make sure that the investors get their money back with some profit. If you still remember the previous case which we discussed, South Sea bubble, there was no corporate governance between the managers and between the investors. There were no members of board of directors. There was no board. Okay, so that's why the shareholders lost their money, because there was no communication between shareholders, or you can say between investors and the management. That's why they lost their money. But if between investors and management we have corporate governance, we can say that the investors will get their money back, or at least they will be getting a communication, or they will be getting a report through these members of board of directors about the functionality of the company. Okay, so the corporate governance is about the exercise of power over corporate entities. This is also a definition that the investors through members of board of directors exercise their power over corporate entities or management or the ordinary laborers. The idea is that the people who have invested money, they should be controlling the company. So through the corporate governance, they can control the company. Corporate governance is the relationship among various participants in determining the direction and performance of corporations. So if you have invested money, you are an investor. Through the corporate governance, you can give directions with regard to the performance. For example, you are the biggest investor, you are the largest shareholder. So the company is producing, let's say, beverages or energy drinks. So you will say them, no, we will change the direction of the company. Now we will start manufacturing mineral water. Otherwise, I am going to take my money back. Okay. So the corporate governance makes sure that the investors' will is fulfilled. So through this channel of corporate governance, the investors or the shareholders, they exercise their power, they communicate between the management and laborer and give report back to the investors, and also they exercise the powers which are delegated to them through investors, and they also, they give direction to the management to do as the investors are saying. So there are three big parties in our corporate governance structure. Ladies and gentlemen, keep this thing in mind, otherwise you will mix everything. So there are three big key stakeholders of the company. First one is the biggest uh, or the most important one, I would say, is the shareholder. Why it is most important? Because he has invested money into the company. Okay, so shareholder has invested money into the company. Shareholder appoints board of directors. Board of directors then appoint management. Okay, so the shareholders are the owners of the company. They have invested money. They have invested money, they have appointed the board of directors, and board of directors, they appoint management. Ladies and gentlemen, three important parties in our corporate governance structure. And here you can see the scope of corporate governance. Scope of corporate governance. It is very important to understand that the board of director, it constitutes members from different fractions of our society. So management, you have understood, the management are the people who work day to day in the company. Board of director is appointed by the investors or the shareholders. So who sits in the board of directors, or who are these directors? Okay, so they can be auditors, they can be governmental employees, regulators, there can be media members. For example, in some companies you need someone to do a marketing, and you ask a very highly influential person or Instagram model or a footballer to come and sit as a member of board of directors. Okay, other stakeholders, for example, environmental organizations. If your company is doing mining, oil and gas, there is a huge challenge of spoiling the environment. So you can ask someone who is a famous environmentalist or someone from the environmental organizations to come and sit in the board. Okay, so that he can be there and he can see how the company is working. Similarly, some countries by law expect that you should have certain people on your board. For example, in China, it is required that a lawyer should be the member of board of directors. So the companies should have one lawyer as a member of board of directors. Do you know, can you give any logic why we need a lawyer as a member of board of directors? What can be the logic behind having a lawyer as a member of board of directors?
For not doing any illegal or unlawful things in company. I mean, for legalizing all the work and revise all the activities with the law.
Yes, this is the answer. But you know, there are so many new laws are being formed by the government on day-to-day basis. Yes, so many new laws are coming. Every day there is a new law. So these new laws demand companies to act accordingly. So if you have a lawyer as a member of board of director who understand the legalities of the issues, he can respond quickly. Okay, so it is more related to compliance with the governmental regulations. Tomorrow, if something goes wrong, the member of board of directors, they cannot say that, oh, it was a legal problem and we did not know about the law. So that's why it is better to have someone who have understanding of what's going on in the country with regard to law and order and act accordingly. So that's why we have this. Sometimes you need influential. Influential means a famous model, because your company is manufacturing, let's say, cosmetics. So for cosmetics, you need someone who can do the marketing of your product, and you ask an Instagram model or a actresses or actor to come and sit as a member of board of director and not only do the marketing of their product, but also give them the suggestion. If it is a business of, let's say, halal products, halal products. Yes, nowadays this phenomena is becoming very famous, especially in Central Asian countries. All the companies who manufacture these food products, they want to get halal certification. So it is better to have someone from the religious community to come and sit as a member of board of director, because he is specialized in his work and he can give more contextualized or more specific guidance with regard to the demands of halal products. Okay, so other stakeholders means you can have people, relevant people, to come and sit as a member of board of directors. For example, in Uzbekistan, this government and regulators are very important. So in big companies, you should have someone from the government who should come and sit as a member of board of director, because this person has close relations with the government, and he can direct according to the governmental will. So it is better to have someone from the government who can come and sit as a member of board of directors and give directions with regard to the compliance of government regulations. Okay, and then you should have auditors. Ladies and gentlemen, this is very important. The function of auditors are very important. There are two types of auditors. One, auditors who are working in the management. For example, financial auditor, he comes every day and he sits in his office, and his work is related to the audit of the company, and he comes every day and do the keeps the book of the financial distribution, day to day financial distribution of the company. Whereas the members of board of directors also have auditors, or they can appoint an auditor who will recheck, the report which is made by the internal auditor. Okay, so the internal auditor who works in the management, his report which he makes will be rechecked by the auditors who are sitting is in the members of board of director, or who are appointed by the members of board of directors. You know why? Why there are internal auditors and external auditors? Anyone?
Maybe for financial analysis. I mean, analyze internal company financial analysis, and external for sharing the numbers with board of directors and having it in company, I mean, with management.
Yes. Sometimes it happens that management can say that everything is going very well, every company is making profit, everything is fine, yes, everyone is happy. But members of board of directors, they are answerable to the investors. Members of board of directors, they are, the agency, or they are the agents of the investors. So they recheck the report which is presented by the management or internal auditors. So if the management is saying that company is making profit, members of board of director can recheck that if it actually making profit, and then they can communicate this to their investors. So that's why there are auditors in members of board of directors. Members of board of directors might have a separate audit committee. So certain members of board of directors, they can sit together in this committee and they can recheck the audit reports which are sent by the management. Does gender of board of director members matter? This is a very important phenomenon of contemporary corporate governance, gender and corporate governance. Ladies and gentlemen, many people are talking about this, that gender also plays a very important role. What do you think? Do we need female in leadership positions? Of course, we need females in leadership positions, yes? So why by law, or why we should make compulsory for a board to be diverse in terms of the gender? Do you think that there is any benefit of having a diverse board in which there are female, the ratio of male and female is equal, or there are some female? Will it bring any benefit?
I personally think yes, because female members of board of directors also can give their opinion. I mean, they also can regulate the company, and also they will have a variety of thoughts about how company can actually operate. I mean, they not only hear man's voice, but also women's voice also. So they can, regulate some problems or issues of the company by diversity of board of directors.
Yes, you are right. The statistics have shown that if you have a diverse board, now it is very important thing which I am going to say. Statistics have shown that if we have a diverse board, ladies and gentlemen, the profitability will go up. Okay, so if you have more females in your board, or if you have the ethnic, racial, and geographical diversity as well, not only the gender diversity, but diversity, any sort of diversity. If you have any sort of diversity in board, the profitability will go up. The reason is that investors feel more confident in investing in a diverse board. Now just imagine if all the members of board of director, all the Uchridit are male, retired, old, maybe experienced, yes, but the construction of the board seems very serious, very rigid, and the investors will feel hesitating in investing in the company. But if there are females, if there are youngsters, if there are people with color, if there is diversity in terms of geographical representation, for example, in Uzbekistan, if it is a Tashkent based company, but you have people from Bukhara, Samarkand, Pokhand, or let's say Karakal, Pakistan, it will give a very polite and neutral image of the company. Yes, that all the geographical regions are represented. So the people who are from, let's say, from Samarkand, he will also be interested in investing in a company because there are Samarkand people who are sitting there. But if all the people from the Tashkent are occupying the key positions, or as a member of board of directors, they are sitting there, geographically, this company does not have any diversity. It will be very difficult for other investors to interact with the company. Similarly, if all the males are occupying the key positions and there are no females, investors will feel hesitation in investing in the company. That's why the gender is becoming more and more important. Similarly, technology matters. And those of you who have studied previously, taken courses from me, they know that I am very much interested into technology. Nowadays, in contemporary corporate governance, technology also matters. The companies who have who are using new innovation technologies or incorporating digitalization or electronic mechanisms or technological instruments, they are considered as progressive companies. The companies who are traditional companies without innovations being incorporated into them, they are considered as very rigid, very, outdated companies, and investors feel hesitated in investing in these companies. So the technology matters a lot. Similarly, the technology is bringing gender equality and changing the concept of leadership. In the companies previously, the key posts were occupied only by the male. Okay, so we all know that if you have to appoint a key post, if you have to someone on a key post in the company, whom you will select a boy just because he's a boy. Yes, but nowadays technology is bringing gender equality. Gender equality means if a female knows more about software, females are very good software engineers, for example, or if a female is a very good accountant and she knows how to use the software, financial software, let's say C1, she will be preferred over a boy because of his capabilities, because of his talent. Okay, so technology is bringing gender equality and changing the concept of leadership. It's mean if you are a female but a qualified female and you know your job, which job, I mean, you can use the computer very well, much better than a male, then definitely you will be preferred over this, because the basic purpose of business is to make profit, and they don't care if you are a male CEO or female CEO. They need a talented CEO. So that's why I wrote it here, that technology is bringing gender equality. As a female or marginalized community member, you can work on yourself, build up your capabilities, and then you can get key leadership positions and can become member of board of director. So what will be the future of board of director? It is very important to see that do we really need board of director for our digitalized future? So our future board of directors will look like this. It is already happening in different part of the world. People are interacting like this. Facebook has transformed into Meta, and this augmented and virtual reality has made anyone to be anywhere. Okay, so you can see certain people are joining the company with their avatars, and some people have joined through Zoom, and the physical people in the physical office also have these goggles to be into this augmented reality. So these types of boards we are expecting, the talent of the world can reach to one place within no time and can give recommendations and suggestions. So in future we will have offshore board meetings, multi-component board meetings, more pre-meetings and post-meeting work. Means now the members of board of director meets once or twice in an year, just because it is physically impossible for them to travel from different part of the world or to find or spare free time from their busy routine. But with the technological innovations, it will be possible for them to do more meetings. Then there are different new innovation technologies which are being invented. For example, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, cloud computing, big data, 5G high-speed internet. This all has made possible for the companies to work on their corporate governance structure, and corporate governance structure is expected to be very efficient by using the technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, now coming back to the question, why corporate governance? Why corporate governance? First of all, better access to external finances. Better access to external finances means if you have good members of board of directors, people will trust on them. People will be happy to invest in the company. Okay. Lower cost of the capital and yes, do you have any question? Someone was speaking? No? Okay. Lower cost of the capital and interest rates on the loans. Improved company performance means the experts who are sitting as the member of board of directors, they are keeping an eye on the activities of the management. Higher firm valuation and share performance, If there are very good people who are sitting as a member of board of directors, this will definitely impact on the performance of the company, and ultimately the share price will go up. Or sometimes just the face is very important. If very famous people are sitting as the member of board of directors, it also impact on the share price, because people trust on the person, not on the company. And it will also reduce the risk of corporate crisis and scandal, as it happened in South Sea bubble company, that there was no corporate governance structure and finally the company collapsed. But if we have corporate governance, it will reduce the risk of corporate crisis and scandals. To improve a company's corporate governance has proportionality greater impact in countries with weak legal environments. So my lawyers, ladies and gentlemen, this is very important point. The countries in which there is weak legal environment means there are no laws related to the functionality of the company, or with regard to the performance of the company, or accountability of the people who are involved in the company. If there are no laws, then corporate governance is very efficient. Because if there is no law, but there are member of board of director who act as a government, okay? So in weak legal environments, the importance of corporate governance increases. Companies can partially compensate for ineffective laws and enforcement by establishing good corporate governance at the company level and providing credible investor protection. So if law is not protecting the interest of the investors, who can protect the interest of the investors? Members of board of directors, because members of board of directors, they also do the same thing what the law does. Why corporate governance is so important? Corporate governance is a system of rules, practices, and processes by which a company is directed and controlled. Corporate governance essentially involves balancing the interest of the company's many stakeholders. Poor corporate governance at best lead to a company's failing to achieve its stated goal, and at worst it can lead to the collapse of the company and significant financial losses for the shareholders. So drawing on the microeconomics theory, this is very interesting as well as very boring, especially for the lawyers that looking into some of the microeconomics perspective of the corporate governance. But just for the sake of explaining it, I will make it very simple. I will not going to read it from here. So the idea is that market is divided into different fractions, and microeconomics says that the scarce resources mean the resources which are about to finish should be effectively managed. Okay, so the consumers pick the mix of goods and services that make them as happy as possible given limited wealth. Consumers will always buy a cheap product. This is the idea. Firms decide which goods to produce, where to produce them, how much to produce to maximize their profit. So consumer want to buy a cheap product, firm want to make more profit, and the governments decide what to produce and whether to subsidize, tax, or regulate industries and consumers. Yes, so the government plays a regulatory function between market and consumer. This is the idea behind this. And you can see, this is what I said, that market is divided into different fractions. There are two extremes: pure monopoly and perfect competition. Pure monopoly means when there is only one company who occupies the market, and perfect competition means that there are so many companies who are manufacturing similar products. For example, mobile phones. There are so many companies who are manufacturing mobile phones. It is an example of perfect competition. And pure monopoly, you can say law enforcement companies, or in some countries only one company is making one product. I don't know if automobile industry of Uzbekistan is a good example or not, but let's take it as an example. It is an example of pure monopoly. And then we have duopoly. Duo, as the name suggests, duo means two companies. You can say Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Oligopoly and monopolistic competition among two, three, four companies who are manufacturing the similar product. So the market is divided between pure monopoly and perfect competition. The idea is that consumers, preference, according to their according to their standards and preferences and priorities, will fall into one of these categories when they select a product. Okay, so I will not spend more time on it. I know that lawyers don't like microeconomics. Yes, so the market structure is like this. There is a perfect competition and oligopoly. Oligopoly means there is a market structure in which a few larger sellers dominate the industry, for example, automobile industry. And then there is a monopoly. Only one company is manufacturing the products. For example, Microsoft is manufacturing the Windows or underground system or the transportation system. Usually it is occupied by the government only. So these are different market structures. Individuals, according to their own preferences, standards, and priorities, will select the product. Now, ladies and gentlemen, very basic concept, types of businesses. There are two types of businesses: unincorporated business and incorporated business. So what is unincorporated business? Unincorporated business is the business which has no formal structure. Previously, we would say that it is a business which is not registered. But unincorporated business, you can say that it has no structure. And incorporated business, as the name suggests, that it has a formal structure. Unincorporated and incorporated business. Silk Road, our ancient Silk Road, it is an example of what unincorporated business. Like these people, they will just simply come and sit wherever they want, and then they will simply start trading their products unless the king or the hakim or the khan would start regulating it. And when it will start regulating the business, it will become incorporated business. These are some of the examples of incorporated business organizations in Uzbekistan. Means they have a formal structure. And this is also incorporated business because the people who are sitting in TSUL, they are also registered. But there are so many people who are sitting outside of this dome structure building. Outside of this building, there are so many people who are labeled as unincorporated business. Means they are not registered. Today, if they are sitting here, tomorrow they can sit there, and their business is usually not regulated. But the people who are sitting at a specific place and they are paying taxes, we can say that they are incorporated business. So defining a corporation for the sake of corporate governance is very important. We can define corporation from so many dimensions, but for the sake of our course, we will define corporation as an artificial person or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of the state. So law has been made by the state, let's say business law or corporation law, which gives directions to anyone who wants to do business in the country. So the people who wants to do business in the country, they should follow these legal guidance and rules and regulations. And what they do, they make a legal entity. They register this legal entity, which is their business. Now this business is an artificial person. Artificial person means your business is different from your personality. You as an individual, you are a physical person, and your business, which is also registered on your name, is an artificial person. Okay, so if someone asks you What is a corporation? You will say it is an artificial person or legal entity created by or under the authority of the laws of the state. You register your business and it becomes a corporation. Okay, a form of conscious corporation and coordination, a legal advice or set of contracts through which businesses may be conducted, a method through which finance may be obtained, are different dimensional understandings of corporate governance. Why do firms develop? Why we need companies? Why we need to develop the companies? We need to develop the companies. First of all, government has an interest in registration of all the businesses. Government want to register your business not only to protect your rights, but also it is very important for the government to know how much money is circulating in the economy. So that's why they motivate everyone to register their business. Even if it is a very, very small business, the government would like it to be registered with them, because it is in the interest of the government to monitor the financial activities which are taking place in their territory. On the other side, the registration will help individuals to protect their rights. Primarily concerned with public listed companies, those listed on stock exchange. So corporate governance is not related to all companies. Corporate governance is mainly related to public listed companies or those companies who are listed in the stock exchange. Okay, so public companies, public listed companies who sell their shares. What is the logic behind this? Usually the companies have so many shareholders, and so many people invest in the company, public listed company. If there is a corporate governance structure, it gives them a confidence. It makes sure that the people or the individuals who have invested their money, it will be safe, or at least they will be getting a holistic image of their investment and the company's functionality. What is a company? I already explained it. A company is a legal entity established with the voluntary association of people to function as a business. The business can be commercial or industrial. A company can be owned by a single individual or by a group of people with similar intention. And this is very important, ladies and gentlemen, which I was talking earlier, that the company is itself an artificial person distinct from person who owns it. For example, I make a company. My company is different from my personality. If my company does something wrong, who will be responsible? Company will be responsible, because company has done something wrong. Okay, so that's why it is very important to keep a distinction between physical and legal personalities when it comes to the company's law. So public limited companies, I told you that corporate governance is mainly related to public limited company. Public limited companies are those companies who are listed on the stock exchange. They are open to public for ownership, which means anyone can buy shares in the company's stock, and it is public and it is limited. What does it mean by limited? Limited means limited liability. If company does something wrong, company will be responsible, and company will be responsible for only that amount of money which has been shown as the company's capital. These are some of the examples of multinational public limited companies of UK, British Petroleum, or AstraZeneca, which makes vaccine nowadays, even though it is a Swedish British joint venture, but their headquarters is in UK. So let's say it is also British company. And Virgin, Vodafone, HSBC is a very famous bank. Yes, these are some of the examples of multinational public limited companies, which means that you can buy the shares of these companies. These are some of the companies which are very influential for the Central Asian region. These banks, for example, Chinese bank, or JP Morgan, American Financial Joint, Shell company, petroleum company. These are some of the companies which has a huge influence on our region. Ladies and gentlemen, this graph shows, this infographic shows the top 100 biggest companies, and you will see the most of these companies, they are technological companies like Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, which is a Google holding, Facebook, yes. Saudi Aramco is also a very big company. Most of these big companies, they are located in USA. Some of them are located in China and other part of the world, yes. But still, financial sector is dominated by the tech giants. Mainly, they are coming from the USA. These are the top 100 biggest companies, and this is the list of the top 9 companies, you can say, that these are the companies. I couldn't find data from 2022. Hopefully, it will be shared. So you can see that these are the big companies dominating the financial markets. Apple, Saudi Aramco, and now unofficial data shows that Saudi Aramco is the richest company. Microsoft Corporation, Amazon, Alphabet. Alphabet is the Google holding. Facebook, Tencent is a Chinese technology company, and Tesla and Alibaba Group. So these are some of the biggest companies at present in our world. This is even very interesting phenomena. Commercialization of space, ladies and gentlemen. Commercialization of space is bringing so many legal challenges. Why I included it here? Because it is the future of corporate governance challenges which we will be facing. So all of these big rich companies, they are investing billions of dollars in space. So all of them, they are businessmen, and businessmen, they do risk management. They don't invest randomly, okay? So they are investing billions of dollars in space. It's mean that something very serious is going on in space. This data, for example, space infrastructure company received 14.5 billions of private investment in 2021, a new annual record that was up more than 50% from 2020. Like $14.5 billion of private investment in space in 2021. And the interesting thing is that this is the COVID-19 period. So even the world is suffering from a COVID-19 pandemic, recession, economy is in devastating situation. Many companies and countries are crying over financial losses. There are people who are investing billions of dollars in space. It's mean that something very serious is going on in the space. So USA is the largest investor in space in terms of equity. $116 billion have been invested by USA into the space, and then China, Singapore, UK, India, Indonesia, and Canada. Okay, so the next part is related to the pillars of corporate governance. Why we need corporate governance? To monitor the activities of the management, to give accurate holistic picture of the company's management or the company's performance back to the investors or shareholders. So these are the 4 pillars of the corporate governance. The corporate governance is about accountability, fairness, transparency, and independence. 4 pillars of corporate governance on which the system is standing. Ladies and gentlemen, I will just quickly go through these 4 pillars of corporate governance. Accountability ensures that the management is accountable to board. Management is doing so many things in the company. In fact, management is responsible for day-to-day functioning of the company. Management is responsible for anything what happens with the business, yes. And board make management accountable for whatever they do. And corporate governance ensure that the board is accountable to the shareholders. So management is answerable to board, and board is answerable to shareholder, because shareholders appoint board and board select the management. So that's why they are answerable to each other. And this is the concept of accountability, that The board should be accountable by the shareholder and management should be accountable by the board. Fairness. Fairness means protection of shareholders' right. Members of board of directors make sure that the accurate picture of the company's working is being shown to the investors or the shareholders. So fairness means protection of shareholders' right, which is done by the members of board of director. Treat all shareholders, including minorities, equitably, equally, without discrimination. So members of board of directors, sometimes they ask minority shareholders to give their input as well. Sometimes it happens that if the shareholders have a minority group who have bought the share of the company, the members of board of directors or the board can call them as the member and they can come and sit there and they can ask about their rights, and if they think that there is something happening unfair with regard to their affiliation with a group, they can raise their concern in the board meeting. And it also provide effective redress for violation if something goes wrong, no matter in the management or within the board. So it should be fairly resolved. This is the second pillar of the corporate governance. Third one, which is very important, is transparency. Transparency means people should be knowing what's going on in the company. So the shareholders, they know about the functioning of the company through members of board of directors. Members of board of directors also make sure that their activities should be transparent so that the shareholders can keep their trust on them. And similarly, the management is also expected to be transparent, which means that they are expected to give 100% accurate information what is demanded by the members of board of directors. This is about transparency. And finally, independence. Management should be working independently. Board of directors usually work independent. Shareholders are independent. Okay, this is in terms of their standing. Procedures and structures are in place so as to minimize or avoid completely conflict of interest. It should not be like this, that shareholders are always influencing on the decisions of the board and board is always influencing on the decisions of the management. All of them should be working independently, or for this purpose we have made laws and regulations or internal regulations. Independent directors and advisors are appointed which are free from the influence of the other. So when we construct our board, we also invite certain people from outside. These outsiders are called as independent directors. Independent directors are invited so that they can sit and without any influence, without any big larger stake inside the company, they can freely give their advice, and it is about independence. Yes. Sustainability as a new pillar is emerging. That sustainability means in terms of companies' decisions, in terms of companies' performance action, or even regulations, they should be thinking about futuristically the long-term strategy of the company. So whenever it comes to make a policy or strategy, it should be futuristic, and after doing a proper risk management, they should be proposing this policy and strategy to make it sustainable. Means it should be working in the long run. This is the idea behind sustainability. Means the company should be leaving something which they are manufacturing today in terms of laws and policies and anything which could be beneficial for the future generations. Stakeholders are in terms of sustainability. Sustainability recognizes stakeholders' right. One of the pillars, a new pillar of corporate governance, sustainability as a new pillar of corporate governance, wants to keep their loyal investors with them. So if there are so many things going on inside the company which are not very clear to the investors, or if the investor is feeling being cheated, he will leave the company and he will invest in some other company, which is not beneficial for your business. So in order to keep your investor loyal with you, you will make sustainable policies and you will protect the rights of those people who have invested in your company, and not only the investor but all the stakeholders. For example, government is an important stakeholder, and your company's policies should be sustaining the confidence of the government. Similarly, media, environment, or society in general expect a sustainable approach, companies' approach towards them. Yes, this is very important. These are some of the famous international and global companies in Uzbekistan. And you as a lawyer, I suggest you to go on internet and see what is the registration or how they have registered in Uzbekistan. I mean, they are registered as a franchise, they are registered as an independent company. Yes, they are public limited companies. I mean, what legal structure? What is the registration structure of these companies? Yes, this will be very interesting. Let's say, for example, Total, or this is an oil company. You can, in the presence of Gazprom in the region, this company is working here. Hyundai and Mitsubishi, even though you have local manufacturers, but they are also registered here. Yes, so these things are very interesting to see, that how these companies have registered, what is the legal structure of these companies. Okay, so types of organizations in UK very quickly: corporate, unincorporated, and incorporated. I already told you, unincorporated is which is not registered, and incorporated which is registered. Unincorporated is sole trader. Sole trader in Uzbekistan also you have the concept of sole trader. One individual can buy patent. He can register him with the governmental authority and can start doing business. Partnership, when two or more people join hands to do business. Then you have public limited companies which trade their shares in the share market, and private limited companies. You know that so many companies, majority of the companies which are registered, they are private limited companies. So here we can see the corporate governance arrangement. Which companies need corporate governance? Public limited companies, they need corporate governance structures. This is a new type of company which is emerging. It is called as startup. What is a startup? Startup is that one, mostly it is becoming famous among the individuals. Individuals have so many ideas, youngsters have so many ideas, young individuals have so many ideas, so they want to realize their ideas, and this startup culture is now promoting. Government of Uzbekistan is also promoting this startup culture, providing facilities and resources for youngsters with ideas. So what you do, you have an idea, you find relevant people, you can sell your idea, you can take investment and realize your idea, or you can work independently on it to realize your idea. This is a startup company or startup culture, you can say that, which is being promoted nowadays. This is a classification of companies. Companies based on the liability. Liability, I told you, liability means answerability. Companies limited by shares. Companies limited by guarantee. Guarantee means sometimes you make a company and someone else give guarantee. For example, you want to make a company and your father or your uncle will say to your customers that I am giving guarantee, you can do business with him, and if something will go wrong, I will be responsible for this. So this type of company is called as companies limited by guarantee. And then you have unlimited company. Unlimited company means that there is no liability. If you do something wrong, if your company does something wrong, you have to compensate the damages no matter from where. If you have done something wrong and your company is unlimited company, the people will come to your house and they will They will take your house and they will take your car, because your company and you are one person, or there was the company which has no liability. Yes. So if there is no liability of the company, it's mean liability is yours. And then companies on the basis of members, one person company, sole proprietorship. Private company and public companies. Private companies means partnerships. The shares are not publicly traded. Public companies are those companies who sell their share on the stock market. And then companies on the basis of control, you have holding and subsidiary companies. Holding and subsidiary company means there is a very big company who has small other companies, and these companies work under this big holding. For example, in Uzbekistan, a good example is Akfa. Akfa is manufacturing, so many things. They have medical clinic, they have university, they are building, construction material, and so on. So this is one holding which have small subsidiary companies. And then there is a concept of associate company. Associate company is a company which is affiliated with the company in any regard. For example, our Tashkent State University of Law, it is a company. And we also have a Lyceum of Tashkent State University of Law, which is associated with our main company, which is our university, Tashkent State University of Law. So we can say that our Lyceum is, an associate company of our university, theoretically speaking. What type of business stand the test of time? The businesses which has possibility to stay alive. Okay. So for example, here is an example that this is a hotel in Japan, and it was founded in 705 AD. And it is the oldest hotel which is still functioning. So what type of businesses stand the test of time? I have a question for you, that which company that was founded in 21st century do you think has the best chance to still exist in the next 200 years? Any ideas? Which company do you think, which type of company which was founded in 21st century, means if we make a company today, what type of company you think that it has best chances to still exist in the next 200 years?
I think it's holding company, because even if during the time holding company can create more or I mean set up new business which operate during the change of time, even if something get and something get by another, I mean change something, they holding company can create something new and they can exist more than others.
Yes, I am also agree with the argument which you have given. So I personally think that, and I'm not sure about it, but I still think that there is a possibility that sole proprietorship, one person, one company type of company will exist in future, because everything is becoming interconnected. Our data is being shared and stored and processed. And our friend Elon Musk, he has a project Neuralink. He is even planning to implant a chip in the human brain. So it is possible that in future everyone will know about everyone. It is possible that people will be connected virtually or through their digital extensions with each other, and there will be no need to worry about liabilities or fraud or bankruptcy. Yes, because everything is visible to everyone. Everything is visible to the state authorities or law enforcement agencies, and people will be dealing directly with the individuals. The individuals will be interacting directly with the individual they because of the technological innovations, they the level of trust might, I don't know, it is already increasing or decreasing, but the level of trust will go very high, because technology will act as an intermediary, and technology will make sure that people trust on each other. But holding is also, I mean, in very orthodox understanding, you are right that if there is an holding, it is a very big group of companies. They have extensive experience and resources, so they can quickly respond to the demands. Yes, and if they think that one business is going wrong, they can quickly reshape it, or they can flip and switch, and can reproduce it, or can make a parallel structure and business much quicker than any other form of the business. Yes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, now a little bit about if the corporate governance goes wrong. Okay, and there are so many cases with regard to this. We will be doing these cases, but today, as I told you, that I am giving you introduction, a little bit of everything. Okay, so corruption, you might have heard. Corruption is also a corporate crime. Corruption is everywhere. So, what is a corporate crime? Corporate crime refer to the criminal practices by individuals that have the legal authority to speak for a corporation or company. These can include presidents, CEOs, managers, directors, and chairmen, salespeople, agents, or anyone within a company that has authority to act on behalf of the firm. For example, CEOs, they take bribes. Chairmen can take bribe. Chairman, for example, CEO has its own company, and he makes a mechanism through which he is giving unjustified illegal benefits to his own personal business. So it is a corruption. For example, I have a company and I need to buy laptops, and my younger brother has a shop of laptops or computers. So I make my company, you know, to buy the laptops from my younger brother, so that my younger brother should have profit. It is a type of corruption. Yes? So it is a more severe word which is used for these financial irregularities is a crime. Yes, when the other people suffer from this. This is an interesting case, and since we have left very less time, I will just give you a summary instead of going into detail of this. Yes, Robert Maxwell committed the largest financial fraud of 20th century in his role as chairman. So very simply, I will tell you what was happening. Many people were working in the company, and these companies, they collect some money as the pension fund. You also have source fund. You also have a system through which a small amount of money is deducted from your monthly salary, which you will get at the end as pension or retirement benefits. So what was happening in his company? These pension funds, they were being collected, and what he was doing, he was using that money, the money of the people, which they had to get at retirement. This money, ideally, it should be kept saved, but he was using this money for showing that the company is making profit. So he will use that money as an investment for his business ventures. Okay. So everyone was happy that company is progressing, company is making money, but company was not making money. It was the Maxwell who was using these pension funds to fund his ventures inside the business. Did you understand? So the money, pension money, which in ideal scenarios should be kept safe and should be returned to the individuals who have contributed towards this, he was using this money as an investment. Yes. And at the end, what happened? This bubble collapsed, company ruined, and everyone suffered consequences. Okay, so this is a very interesting case, and a huge amount of money was involved. That's why it is considered as the largest financial fraud of 20th century. So what was the causes of the company to fail? The audit function of the firm failed means no one was keeping an eye from where the money is coming from, where the money is going. The non-executive directors did not act in an independent and useful manner. Who are the non-executive directors? Non-executive directors are the outsiders who work as the member of board of directors. So they were not working independently. They were under the influence of Maxwell, and the pension fund trustees did not hold control over the fund. So the people who were responsible for keeping secure this pension fund, they also did not control the flow of the money. Yes, they could ask to this person that why you are using this money. This money is the money of the people, and we have been entrusted by the people that we will return this money to them when they will retire. Why you are asking us to give this money to you? Yes, and regulators did not spot irregularities, means government did not pay attention on these irregularity. Yes, and also this person as an individual, he was also of poor character, that his reputation was not good. So this person was of poor character, and everyone ignored his poor character and still started doing business with the company. These are some of the things which led to the collapse of this company. So from here we can say that the business ethics, overall business ethics is very important for corporate governance. The people who are sitting as a member of board of director, top management, chairman, even CEO, top managers of the company, everyone should have good ethical and moral values. And overall we say that it is related to business ethics. So we will see at the end of the third day, we will look into the corporate social responsibility and the corruption, that how the business ethics goes wrong, and ideally how it should be. So what is business ethics? Just for the sake of definition, these are the established values and principles a company use to inform and conduct its activities. So there are certain internal regulations incorporated into ethical principles which set the standards and preferences for the company. And business ethics for the business and business ethics for the individual, both are very important. And where we can find this? We can find this in the code of ethics. Code of ethics is an internal regulation document, Vnutrni Pravila, which you say, and sometimes the governments also give code of ethics for all the companies for the sake of standardization. Yes. Then we have an understanding of corporate violence, violence against workers. Many companies, they exploit their laborers, and many members of board of directors, they are involved into it just to maximize their profit. Violence against worker. And here are some of the examples. For example, you might have seen this picture of McDonald people and KFC and all of these. Mostly the students work in these companies because they don't require a university degree. It is the best job for students to work as a waiter or waitresses, or in these food chains. And you on and off, you will see on the media, these people are protesting about the per hour wages or minimum salaries. Yes, and minimum working hours, these sort of things. On the right side, you can see that these are the people who are these are the small children who are forced into the labor, forced labor we call it. And corporations know that they are exploiting, they are doing violence against these individuals, but they keep their eyes closed. I'm sure that in certain parts of Uzbekistan, without any exaggeration, if you go to these fields where people are cultivating these cottons or some other fruits, let's say in certain rural areas, children are being used for the labors, for the labor purposes in the field. Yes, so this is an example of corporate violence. And then there are understandings becoming emerging, corporate violence against consumers. For example, For example, so many companies are manufacturing so many products based on a dump design. Dump design means they know that this product will not work. For example, mobile phone chargers or hands-free naushnikis. I don't know in 1 year how many naushnikis I have spoiled or how many chargers I have thrown out. Companies know that the design is dumb design. This is not a sustainable design. This charger will not work, but they want people to keep buying these products. Yes. And they deliberately produce these sort of products so that the people should buy again and again. This is a violence against consumer. Then corporate population, very interesting phenomena. And you know that for Central Asian region, it is very much contemporary example, because so many foreign investors are investing in natural resources, oil and gas, and so on, and usually they don't care about the pollution or environmental damages which they are causing to the environment. Their sole purpose is to simply make profit, and you will find so many legal cases related to the corporate pollution. Yes. And this is an example. For example, exploitation on the name of business. For example, this is from India. On the left side you can see that ladies in India, they dedicate their hairs in the temple to the god. So they give their hair out of their religious sentiments. They give their hair to the god in the temple, and they end up into the fashion industry as a hair extension. They are being processed, and the companies in Europe, they buy them, let's say in France, and they use them for making hair extension. So it is like playing with the religious sentiments of the individuals. Yes, they gave their hair for free to the temple, to the god, out of their religious sentiments, and someone is making money out of it. And the people who are making money out of it, they know that it is unethical, and still they are using this for making profit. Or you have seen this animal skin products on and off. People are talking about these things. uh, there is a question, is that compulsory giving here? No, I mean, it is a ritual. It is ritual. And I am not uh, expert in the Hinduism, but you can find on internet some people, they, let's say, do promise to the god that if I will get a son or daughter, or if this work will be done, I will come and I will dedicate my hairs to you, like Qurban. As we in Muslim cultures, you do Qurban. Yes, you can say that, oh God, if I will pass the exam, I will pray, something like this. Yes. So the thing is that um the people, they do out of their religious sentiments, but someone is making money out of it, and they know that they are doing wrong. But then they say that lubaya business kharasha. So under the philosophy of lubaya business kharasha, they don't care about the sentiments of the individuals. Yes. And then the animal skin products, you can kill the individual animals. You can kill the animals, and you can make profit out of it. And many organizations who are protecting the rights of the animals, they on and off protest about these things. Yes. And then there are economic corporate crimes, monopolies, price fixing. Yes. And there is a full-fledged branch of competition law which deals with the unnecessary functions. Yes. Unnecessary competition, price manipulation, dumping, and so on. Yes. So false advertising, it is also a type of financial, economic, corporate crime, that in advertisement you show something, but in reality it looks something totally different. Yes. So this is also a type. And if we will have time, we will see some of the cases related to this as well, that how the marketing and advertisement cause so many legal challenges. And then the technology is making it very sophisticated, and usually technology play on the behalf of the corporate governance side, that by using the technology you can manipulate the individual's data. You can give generation targeted products, you can offer them. For example, if you are young, all of you are young, of course, if you will go Instagram or Google, you will see advertisement which target to your age. The Google or Instagram or Facebook will give you the products options which are relevant to your age or which are relevant to your interest. Some people say that, or that it is the outcome of your data which is being processed by the autonomous systems, and someone is making money out of it. Yes. Multi-networking, multi-level networking, CTV marketing, yes, it is also a type of financial crime. Many interesting cases are there. And then there are white collar crimes. You know, at the end of the third day, I will spend some time on this white collar crime. White collar, you know what is white collar? White collar means that the big people, politicians or very big businessmen, they do crimes, corruption. So many types of corruptions are there. So crimes related to the politicians or big businessmen or high ranking post holders, these are called as white collar crimes. Yes. And then one of the example of white collar crime is money laundering. You might have heard about money laundering. We will see into the mechanism of money laundering, how it is done and how it can be protected. What happens that you rob the money, you make money in the country, illegal money, then you send it outside of the country. You invest this money into the business. This business make profit. You bring this profit back to your country and you say that my money is legitimate money, or my money is the outcome of the profit of my offshore business. But no one knows that you have sent this money by doing corruption from this country. So you can send money outside, someone will invest this money into some business, and this money will come back as profit, and you will say that this is legal money. And no one says that I actually did corruption and I sent this money which is now coming back to the country by different channels, which I am saying as the profit. Yes, this is the process of money laundering. We will look into this. And then there is no such thing as good money or bad money. There is just money. Yes, this is the common understanding. And finally, uh, lawyers are responsible for doing financial crimes or corporate crimes, and lawyers are also responsible for protecting these corporate crimes. Big corruption scandals, they involve lawyers. Corporate financial crimes, they involve lawyers, because lawyers know the mechanism and they facilitate the process, and they do the risk management for these white collar people. They tell them that how you can escape the justice. On the other side, there are the lawyers who actually help other people, individuals, against these crimes. So it is up to you which type of lawyer you want to become. You want to become an ethical person and you want to protect people from financial crimes, or you want to become an unethical lawyer and want to facilitate the process of these corporate crimes. So this was a general overview of our course, what we are going to study in the next 2 days. And I think that I have given you a little bit of everything what we are going to cover in next 2 days. So do you have any questions?